This was not just a good move on BigCommerce's part, it was a necessary move on BigCommerce's part.
Hello everybody, welcome to Surge. This week we will talk about BigCommerce's acquisition of Feedonomics as well as their relationship that they're building with Mercado Libre. Now, let's talk about Feedonomics first. I didn't know this. I knew about the brand, but I think we worked, I don't know if you recall, I think we logged into it a few times, maybe a year and a half ago. Joe, I don't really remember. We usually use GoDataFeed and a couple of other solutions. I think the reason that BigCommerce did this acquisition is because they wanted to be more strong about the multi-channel approach that they have. And in this industry, you know, we have the channel advisor and a couple of other channel managers, but there is nothing really that Shopify, BigCommerce, 3D Cart, Volusion provides internally that enables you to list your products on multiple channels. And I think this is what they're going after. What do you make of this?
Well, a lot of these hosted solutions like Shopify and BigCommerce, they have attempted to create these integrations. But now, again, these platforms, what their specialty is e-commerce, right? And specifically their own platform, their own technology. Now they're trying to recreate an additional software that another company specializes in specifically. So what I really like that BigCommerce did this, rather than them trying to create this in-house, right? And it just being a secondary product offering for them, they went and they acquired a business who already had a working final product.
And the know-how.
And the know-how, exactly. Because in the past, we've seen that these hosted solutions that say, okay, yeah, I have a direct integration with Google Shopping, right? Now, all of a sudden, you have child products and variants, that feed gets broken, right? Because it's not built properly to adapt to all the different requirements that Google Shopping has. Same thing goes with Facebook. If your Facebook catalog, if you try to integrate your Facebook catalog using the old out of the box integration and you have variants, your catalog is going to break and the products are not going to get migrated over properly. So I think this was a terrific move on BigCommerce's part by going with Feedonomics and acquiring Feedonomics. It's going to open up the doors for them tremendously, because I do know, and I've heard this from many clients or potential migration prospects, that was a cause of concern for them, was the fact that, you know, they're currently selling on Google Shopping, Amazon, Walmart, heavily doing dynamic product retargeting on Facebook. And at that moment in time, there were issues with the feed and the catalogs coming from BigCommerce.
Yeah. And now what happens is BigCommerce gets a good upper hand, right, in the industry against the competition, is where they can say, well, okay, come to BigCommerce, or if you're on BigCommerce, you know, you can literally press a button, or you can do some customizations, minor customizations and settings, and you can sell on Walmart, you can sell on Amazon, you can sell here, you can have your full integrations with your Facebook catalog, or maybe another catalog that's going to pop up from TikTok a few months later, right?
Yep.
So I think from the perspective of BigCommerce, I agree that it was a good move. Now they have a stronger pitch to merchants. And we were just talking about ROI, right? Where e-commerce business owners are looking for an ROI. And think about the power of turning on a specific marketplace and increasing your revenue by 20-25%. And there are a lot of these marketplaces, which brings the conversation to Mercado Libre. Again, Mercado Libre, I think, I don't want to quote you wrong, Joe, but maybe 25 to 30% of all e-commerce transactions happens on Mercado Libre.
Yeah, there was this, I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Right. So they are essentially one of the primary e-commerce storefronts. They have brick and mortar locations all throughout Latin America, but with their partnership with BigCommerce and being on the on BigCommerce platform, they're seeing huge increases in online orders. Obviously, this could be cause of the pandemic, right? More people forced to shop online, and they, right place, right time, and they decided to offer an online solution, whereas other Latin American establishments and businesses aren't there yet. or don't have the technology or the resources. So it was definitely a great move on their part of really going on BigCommerce's end, establishing themselves in the Latin American market, and on Mercado Libre's and going with BigCommerce to be able to increase their their e-commerce sales.
Yeah. And if you think about it from the stand, and again, we run and operate our own e-commerce businesses as well at Optimum 7. As an e-commerce business owner, if you're in the North America market, you can really sell to USA and Canada. I mean, you can ship to Europe. It's a nightmare. You're going to have to deal with the UK rules. You're going to have to deal with European rules. Like, yes, you can ship, but you're going to have a lot of issues with customs most of the time. But logistics of shipping to Latin America is not actually that difficult. So I think what BigCommerce is trying to do is they're trying to say, okay, list in this marketplace, maybe it will up you 10%. List in that marketplace, maybe it will up your revenue 15%. Let us deal with all the issues of this integration or the feed or the product variations. And then they're trying to open up marketplace of Latin America with this agreement that they're doing with Mercado Libre. I think it's the right move. Now, how likely is it that Latin America aggressively shops from United States? And we know that people like to come here and shop here and leave.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is, would somebody from Argentina or Colombia actually buy a product from United States and have it shipped over there?
I think that they would. I think it's now, like you said in the beginning, on the e-commerce store owner side of things, are they willing to sell? Because logistics, like they're not as hard as you think, but depending on what Latin American country you're shipping to, it can differ, right? It could be extremely difficult depending on the Latin American country, or it could be easier. So I think it really does depend. It's about identifying which countries actually have the infrastructure to handle the shipping and handling and customs if it's not too much of a headache. Identify those and start off with those. I do believe that there's demand for US brands in Latin America.
And we said that this was a good move by BigCommerce, but what do you think this does in terms of BigCommerce trying to compete with Shopify? Do you think that it's a huge move? Do you think that it's a move in the right direction? Or is Shopify just too big now that nobody can really compete with them?
Well, it's obviously a step in the right direction. Shopify's feed, out of any other hosted solution, it was probably the best. Right, we didn't really see too many issues with the Facebook catalog integration or Google Shopping integration. So if anything, this was not just a good move on BigCommerce's part; it was a necessary move on BigCommerce's part. This is something that they absolutely had to do. I think they went about it the right way by acquiring an established software rather than trying to build it themselves. They will definitely see an uptick in new stores coming to them specifically because of this. I don't want to say that Shopify is too big to fail. I think that there's plenty of room in this market and plenty of growth that is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years in the e-commerce space. So we'll see what happens.
And I want to touch on one last thing. BigCommerce enterprises pricing depends on your order volume and your average order value, right? So if they give you the capability to open a marketplace and all the orders from that marketplace suddenly flow into BigCommerce, you're getting 20-25% more orders, and BigCommerce makes 20-25% more money. So I'm pretty sure that they're building that into their calculations of, well, if we can increase our enterprise customers' revenue and order volume by 30%, that means that we're going to increase our revenue probably by 30-40% because they go to the next phase of the billing, right? Their order numbers are increasing. And I don't think that the merchants or the business owners would complain about that. I mean, if you can promise me 30% increase in revenue, I'm happy to share percentage of that with you because you're making that integration possible. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So that's it for this week. We'll talk to you guys next week.